Hello, hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're at, and welcome to another Hornet Security webinar. Today we're going to be talking about 365 Permission Manager, which is a really cool new product that we've got here in our stack here at Hornet Security, and it's going to help you elevate your compliance from Microsoft 365. My name is Andy Serwich, and with me I've got Matt Fry. How's it going, Matt?
Yeah, good morning, Andy. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody else. Glad to be here again. It's good to have a chat with you, mate.
Definitely, definitely. Looking forward to it. I know we got a lot to get through, so I'm just going to kind of jump right in here, Matt. And
Yeah, go
first,
for it.
let's,
Go for it.
yeah, we'll kind of talk about our agenda to start with here. So what are we going to see today? So first, we're going to start with a product overview of what 365 Permission Manager is. We're going to talk about, more importantly, why you need it. And for those kind of seasoned administrators that have been working with 365 for a while, SharePoint, OneDrive, the problem is going to become very apparent if you already don't have an idea of where we're going with this. We'll get into what Permission Manager is, and then we're going to talk about the key features and benefits, right? And that'll be a combination of talking about some real world use cases, and then Matt's got an awesome demo that he's going to show. I found that with this particular product, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, in this case, a demo is worth 1,000 words, right? So we're going to spend quite a bit of our time today in a demo environment. So looking forward to that. And then we'll do some wrap up and hopefully have some time for Q&A at the end. So with the Q&A in mind, if you have a question during our spiel today, be sure to go ahead and get that question into the questions form and go to webinar. If we can kind of organically stop where we are and address a particular question, we will. Otherwise, like I said, we'll take a look during that questions section at the end of the webinar. So with that, again, some quick introductions. Again, my name is Andy Serwich. I'm a technical evangelist here at Hornet Security. I've been in the industry for a while now, and I'm also a Microsoft MVP in the Cloud and Data Center Management competency. With that, if you want to get a hold of me, I am still, I guess I would call it lurker mode out on Mastodon at Andy Sandwich on the InfoSec Exchange instance. So you can reach me there. You can also just email andy@hornetsecurity.com as well if you have any follow-up questions. And with that, you can Google me and probably find me in 10 other places out on the web too. So that's me. Matt, I'll hand it over to allow you to introduce yourself.
Brilliant. Hi, Andy. And hi, everyone else. Yeah, my name is Matt Fry. I've been with Hornet Security for 4 or 5 years now, but before that, I headed up an MSP here in the UK. And I worked for them for about 10, 15 years, and the last 10 of those using Hornet Security products back in the good old days and right up through today. So I've got about 15 years of Hornet Security experience, which kind of gives me a great background on this kind of stuff. And for me personally, just has been a great journey to come to come with the company through its product lines, through its new products, and into today a new foray and a great product again from Hornet. So first of all, because I got the history here, I guess let me tell you about Hornet Security. I mean, first of all, our mission is to empower companies and organizations of all sizes, focus on their core business by protecting email communications, securing their data, and basically ensuring business continuity and compliance with what we call next-gen cloud-based solutions. And our vision here, well, we want to be the guardian of companies worldwide that use Microsoft 365, okay? We will protect your data, we'll ensure business continuity, and I guess give you a safer 365 world at the end of the day. That's the point of it. And we offer the most comprehensive cloud security solution on the market as far as we're concerned, and including email, security, compliance, and backup. We got you covered pretty much wrapped around there nicely. So where are we then? So, I mean, Andy said it before, a picture says 1,000 words. I'm not going to list all of this up, but you can see we're a global company, okay? We've born out of Germany in the early days, but we've grown through Europe. We've now branched out. We're in Australia, Canada, America, Argentina, South Africa, even with a data center now. So we really are genuinely a global company nowadays. And we've got support offices to support you in all of those locations as well, and others. So where did it all start? So back in 2007, company kicked off, began to go international, presence in more than 10 countries, 25,000 customers, market leader in Germany. So some real growth in those first 7 years. And it was around that sort of time that 2010, 13, that I got involved in the products, as it were. And then basically from there was a bit of a takeoff. We rebranded Hornet Security, and then we took a real big step into the future. We got a subsidiary in the US. We then started doing some acquisitions with Avira, Spamina, EveryCloud, which is where I came into the picture directly into Hornetsecurity, Zero Spam, and Altaro, which is where Andy came to join us in the picture. And then finally, IT Seal for our SAS product, our security awareness product, another great acquisition and a great product to add to the portfolio. So you can see there quite clearly over that time span, we really have grown, not only in stature within the company, but also within our product suite. And that shows in our employees, 2017, 95 employees, 2022, 400 employees. That's through the growth. That's through business acquisition and growth through the company there. So all good stuff.
Yeah, I think we're north of 400 now, last I checked.
I
stopped trying.
I'm going to say, when I saw that 400, I was like, yeah, we're closer to 450, I think, right now. If we can
I know.
I
stopped trying to keep track after a while. So
absolutely.
Well,
Cool.
Appreciate that introduction, Matt, and we'll dive right into 365 Permission Manager now. So I've got a couple of slides to cover here to kind of give you an idea and kind of create I guess I would say a launching point as to where this product fits. But really, what is this product doing for you at a really high level, right? Well, in 365, you think about how easy it is for end users to just share stuff, right? Like, oh, okay, I've got this Excel document I'm working on. I need Matt to take a look at it. I click the share button. And if I'm an end user, I'm probably not going to question the default settings for the share right there in the moment. And I'm going to send Matt the link and away we go, right? You think about how easy it is for users to share files in 365. And what 365 Permission Manager really does is it allows you to understand what is shared and how across the 365 platform. It allows you to configure and monitor sharing policies within the platform as well. And you can identify violations and delegate audits, right? So this is kind of at a high level, the three main points, but we're going to dive a little bit more detailed into each of these.
And I think Andy, that those three pieces there are exactly what you alluded to in your first statement, that's what the end user at that moment of a share is assuming that you, the admins, have got under control.
Right.
And that if she's not allowed to go there, it'll be dealt with. They're not thinking about that. That's making it your responsibility.
Correct. Exactly. So, well, we kind of alluded to this already, right? But really, why do you need 365 Permission Manager? And the way I always frame this discussion is like, I've got those administrators that come up to me when I'm talking about stuff like this. And well, Andy, I've got 365 as a native platform. I can do all this stuff, right? Well, while that's true for permissions management across SharePoint and OneDrive, anyone who's ever actually tried to wrap their hands around it using the native tools, it becomes apparent very quickly that it is not easy or quick in order to do that with native tools. So I spent a lot of time with this product over the last 2-3 months and looking at associated settings inside of SharePoint, OneDrive. And the problem is on the M365 side, you think about all the different tools, all the different portals, and all the different spots to configure permissions, share settings, policies. You're talking multiple different portals, multiple different screens. I mean, we talk about just SharePoint share permissions in general. You've got file and folder share permissions, you've got site settings, you've got the user settings within Azure AD, you've got the O365 tenant settings. I mean, there's settings all over the place, and to wrap your hands around that using native tools is a problem. So while the end users love how easy it is, CISOs and M365 administrators, not so much. And that's who we're trying to help with this product. And again, I kind of gotten into a lot of this already, speaking of the challenges, but the main driving reason behind these challenges is you just look at the rapid growth of 365. Speaking of not keeping track anymore, I used to look at occasionally, what are the adoption metrics for 365? I think after it went into the millions, I stopped paying attention, right? But you think about how easy it's made things for our end users, and that's part of the contribution to this problem, right? And I've spoken to the complicated permission structure already. I don't need to dive any more into that, but More importantly, when it comes to data access in general, we've got risky default configurations. By default, permissions in 365 are fairly open. There's been some contraction of that by Microsoft over the years, but it continues to be an issue today. And more importantly, there's no easy way to identify external sharing exposure. So, the example I gave earlier assumed that Matt and I are in the same organization, which we are. But think about how easy it is for your end users to share with people outside of the organization. Okay, they've shared that initial file. The person they shared it with has downloaded it, consumed it, whatever. Who's watching for that share after the fact? How long is it going to sit out there? Does that document contain any sensitive data or information? There's no easy way to kind of keep an eye on that.
And you lead up, and sorry, Andy, but you lead exactly into the next point I've just seen on the slide. I was about to interrupt you, but exactly that with all of this different ways in to see the file shares from this direction, from this direction, and actually at the bottom line, you can't see the file by file sharing permissions.
Yep.
That's just
correct.
Not accessible in 365 at the moment.
Correct. And it's a problem, right? Mm-hmm. And that's it ultimately brings in the next key point here, and that is governance, right? So, I mean, we have businesses all over the world now that are having to adhere to some sort of industry compliance requirements or their own government's regulations. Now we're in a situation where, like, hey, we've made it so easy to use these tools for our end users. Now we have to wrap our hands around this and manage it properly, right? And right now, inbox with 365, it's complicated, it's difficult, there's lack of reporting. For many settings, there's an all or nothing approach. External sharing, I'll get into this a little bit more here in a slide or two, but it's either on or off, right? I mean, there's no in between, which becomes a problem if you're working with external freelancers. And orphaned permissions. Somebody leaves the organization or somebody changes groups within Azure AD, whatever, right? There's orphaned permissions that get left behind, and there's no easy way to check those either. So a lot of challenges there, right? Which again brings us back to that question, why do you need 365 Permission Manager? Well, a couple other key points here. Access only ever increases. Never gets reduced.
That's such a simple statement, but it's
true.
Blatantly obvious, I guess, in some of the day, but of course it does. It's always increasing as new people come on board, etc. And then the last point you made, somebody leaves, then those restrictions, those permissions are never removed. So
yep.
It's kind of just an ever increasing deal. Absolutely.
I can go back to my MSP days, because like you, Matt, I spent a good chunk of my career working for an MSP. And in the 23 some years of my career, I can think of one case where an organization was like, you know what, let's go reduce permissions across the board. I can think of one case in all that time. And to the next point, those audits, those changes are never done by people who understand the permissions and the folder structure underneath it. I've been tasked in the past with like, hey, here's this accounting share on a file server somewhere. Back then, we only had to worry about, on-premises Active Directory and NTFS permissions. We haven't to worry about everything else that's contained in the cloud today. And two, I don't really understand who needs access to what inside of this accounting share, right? I don't know that accounts payable needs access to this folder. And, I don't understand the data because I'm not in the accounting department, right?
No, absolutely. And exactly as you say, the comment there, at no point, I think, in my history as an MSP or looking after SharePoint, did anybody come to me and go, hey, I want to do a restricted permissions route or a reduced permissions route. It was always somebody actually coming to me going, hey, I have this, I need to get it out. How do I get it out? I can't get it to somebody. So it's always open it. Now, maybe that's because I built it in a great lockdown way in the first place. I'm not so sure. But, the point is, it's always going to be an increasing. It's the same as the first slide. The access is always increasing, never reducing.
Correct. And the third bullet point here, we already spoke to that a little bit already, right? And that M365 has an all or nothing approach for a lot of things, like external sharing, which we'll get into a little bit more here in a bit.
Yeah, cool.
So one of the best ways that I personally learn is like, let's take this product and let's inject it into a real world situation, right? So how does this work in the real world? So I've got 4 examples to kind of go through here. These are not the only cases where permission manager fits. Permission manager fits in a lot of different cases, but these are 4 of maybe my favorite use cases, right? So first one that we're talking about here is inherited group access. So let's say Matt, is an employee inside of my Azure AD structure, right? And Matt's changing departments. Maybe he's moving into HR or accounting, some department that has a little bit more escalated access and has some access to restricted materials, right? Now, normally with the native tools, we would assign Matt to the accounting group in Azure AD and nothing would happen, right? He'd get the permissions to all the stuff and nobody would question it. But with permission manager, you can set it up to where if Matt all of a sudden gets inherited accounting or HR permissions, an alert can be thrown that says, hey, we've got these sensitive files over here and Matt was just provided access to them. Are you sure this is okay? It kind of throws a flag to make sure somebody is reviewing that change in access, which you normally wouldn't see because it's all happened via inherited group access, which again, as people who have managed Azure AD and group access knows, the visibility there is not always great.
The visibility is almost zero, I'm going to say, because you can clearly obviously see the group that is given the rights. But then if you have an inherited group within that, you've kind of actually got to go out of SharePoint, I think, and into the actual group structure to see who the people are in that underlying group.
Correct. And plus, when you just look at it from an operational perspective, right? Typically, a group change like that is going to be handled by somebody that's like an L1 service desk technician, right? They're going to see that request come through. Okay, this has been approved. They're going to make that change, and they're never going to stop to question all of the inherited permissions down the entire tree inside of a SharePoint site or a OneDrive, right? They're not going to stop to question that.
Yep.
And so it's nice being able to raise a little bit more visibility on that. Default site configurations in 365. So I like the first statement here on this slide. Some default settings in 365 can be disastrous, which is true. Which is true. The default behavior in Teams, for example, is to create anonymous, publicly accessible links when somebody shares a file over chat. So let's say I'm a CFO and I need to share a file with Matt, who is on my accounts payable team, and I've got banking information inside of this document I'm sharing. If that link were to leak somehow, somewhere, it's publicly accessible with people outside of the organization, and a lot of people don't know that. So that's definitely a problem. So with permissions manager, it is. And with permission manager, it allows you to spot stuff like that, monitor it, and get pinged to make the changes needed in order to secure that. So that's another one of my favorite examples. Employee leaves the organization, right? Let's say they have access to confidential data. A lot of organizations have this policy in place when somebody leaves the organization, they go on and they disable the user account. But a lot of the share permissions and all that stuff stays behind, right? Permission manager allows you to make the needed changes across your SharePoint, OneDrive for Business, M365 real estate to manage those permissions after the organization leaves. And revoke them immediately is the key word there as well, too. If, in the event it's a less than amicable split, right?
Yeah, which absolutely
does happen.
Yeah, all too regularly. And these slides in some ways are kind of the wrong way around, because you want to say, having said that, then my next statement is, and so they've left, but they still have those links that were created in the chat. And correct. As a publicly accessible person, now not a member, an employee of the company, I still have access to those links. If I have those links, if I've taken them with me, or I have a copy of them somewhere on a file, a USB key, whatever, I still have access to those files with those anonymous correct. Links that you were just speaking about and creating.
Correct. So over the last 5-6 years, my brain has increasingly started working in more of a security conscious mindset, I guess I would say. And the case I can always think of with this is, let's say it's a salesperson leaving the organization and they want to make sure they have access to their lead list when they go elsewhere, right? I'm not saying every salesperson's going to do this, but you do have bad actors in every situation somewhere. Maybe they want to access their lead list after they leave, and oh, hey, this share is still available publicly, right? So again, an outlier probably, but it does happen. Kind of the fourth one here before we get into our demo is allow collaboration with control. So I don't know many organizations that don't rely on some sort of external vendor or freelancer to get stuff done, right? So I always think of like marketing. Maybe they don't have their own in-house video editing and they need to share videos with an external video editor, right? SharePoint and OneDrive make it insanely easy to do that collaboration, right? But that can also be a problem. What Permission Manager allows you to do is it allows you to do that collaboration with some controls, right? Raise notification that, hey, there's external access happening here, and provide people the opportunity to approve that access for business control. It's all auditable, it's trackable in the case of official audits. Again, allows you to wrap that governance and control around the business use case there. So Matt's going to go through that as part of the demo, I believe. And again, that's one of those things that when you see it, it really comes together, right? And before we get to the demo, the last area I wanted to go through here is what we call the audit lifecycle, but I've kind of taken to calling it the CISO happiness lifecycle instead, because you think about your CISOs, they have a difficult job, right? Wrapping their hands around all of this, keeping track of all of it. And I think this slide does a really good job of kind of demonstrating the problem here, right? So we have a new marketing site, it's set up, it's nice, shiny, brand new and pretty, and all the permissions are exactly how it should be. The CISO's happy. Well, business starts happening like business does, and a user shares a file in Teams with an external party. A defined policy and permissions manager is then violated, throws an alert for the manager to fix the violation or approve the sharing. They go to their user and say, hey, I see you shared this file with user A, B, and C. Is that still needed? Yes, it's a valid business use case. Okay, we're going to go ahead and approve it, right? And now the manager of the marketing team has approved that business use case in blood, as one of our product managers has has taken to saying, and I agree with it, that yes, this is a valid business use case and it's okay to be shared. 3 months goes by, permission manager throws another alert that like, hey, 3 months ago this file was shared and you approved it. Is it still needed? Marketing administrator goes back to the end user and says, hey, is this still needed? Oh no, that project's been done for 6 weeks now. Oh, okay, we can remove this access, right? CISO is happy again because we're back to the nice, neat sharing permissions that we started with. So again, the CISO happiness lifecycle.
I think we should rename that the CISO Circle of Trust.
That's a good one. The CISO Circle of Trust. There we go. Well, with that, I think we're over to you, Matt, for a demo. Let me make you a presenter here. You should get the notification.
Yeah, I hope so. And hopefully you can all see my screen about now.
Yeah, I see your desktop with the Hornetsecurity logo.
Okay, apologies. Need to get the right screen on here. That's the wrong one. This one. Okay, hopefully now you can see the control panel.
Nope, see the Hornetsecurity window again with your desktop. Yeah, same thing. It keeps defaulting to that monitor for some reason.
Okay, let me try that. Is that better?
Nope, still see the desktop.
Apologies, I got a real problem here. I can't pick.
You might have to drag the browser over.
Yeah, that's just picking up on
There.
my Diddy one. Have you got it?
Yep, I see it now, and you might just
Cool,
have
okay,
to
cool.
increase the zoom
Yep.
rate just so it's a little bit more readable. Perfect.
There we go. Cool. Okay, so first of all, apologies. This is the control panel. I'm going to start here because I just want to make a very simple comment that all of our products are basically within a single pane of glass. This is the Hornetsecurity control panel. Here I'm logged in as myself as an end user. I'm going to go into my admin login here, and I can see all of my products on the left-hand side. So I can see my email security, my backup, permission manager, security awareness service, all in a single pane of glass. Let's throw up the permission manager window direct, and we're into permission manager. So as Andy said, there's a myriad of stuff we can talk about in here today, but what I kind of want to focus on is a little bit of detail here and there. And Andy, please come in and direct me back into certain points. But
real quick, Matt, looks like it reset the screen size. So just zoom on the browser window a little bit again. A little bit more. Little bit more. There we go. Perfect. Perfect.
Better? Okay, perfect. Okay,
yep.
cool.
Thank you.
So this is our dashboard, okay, and this gives you a very quick overview of the compliance state of the nation, as I call it. And here, this one in my demo environment, I'm in a bit of a mess here. This needs to look at, this needs to sort out, but it's clearly obvious it needs to sort out, and it's something, if you're looking in here, you can see clearly. You've also got a little violation trends chart here to show you what things have got new item permissions, items shared with external users. So again, just a little bit of an overview to give you an idea of how it's looking today and how much you need to dig into the system. And then here, each of our sites give me a little load up of how it's going. Okay, so jumping into compliance policies, how do we do this? First off, of course, we want to make a policy. So I'm going to add a policy. I'm going to give it a simple name, test policy. I don't want this one as default, but I can, this my first one, I can set this as a default, obviously across all my sites, and then I can choose what the rules are within this policy. So new user group or access, or do I want to warn if new user or group access is there? If items are shared with everyone, absolutely, please. What about if new indirect group access is coming? Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. So I'm gonna tick that one on and make sure I've got that one.
So that would be the case, like I was saying, where like Matt is moving to the accounting group, has now got access to something that falls underneath the purview of this policy, right?
Exactly that. And then external sharing, items shared, absolutely want to know about that. I totally want to know about the anonymous links and group and public group privacy level. Any items that have got a warn if there's a group that's got public privacy level set on it in any way, shape, or form. That gives me a pretty good, clear overview there. I want to be really strict. I could add new and user group access, but at this stage, I'm happy with that. So next stage is external sharing level within the configuration of the site. And I'm going to jump in here and show you some options. So what's the kind of configuration I want it to be within the site? And in this one, I'm going to say only people in my organization. I only want things shared within the organization. Nothing should go out, but this isn't a particularly important site. This isn't got anything particularly dangerous in it or confidential. So I'm allowing anyone in the organization. And therefore, what's the default sharing link? Again, I want it to just be people in the organization. And what's the permissions on that file? Let's always go view. I think it's important to always go view. You don't just default to edit unless it really is a specific reason. So default view, and if there's a lot of editing, we can review that later. Guest expiration access. So how many days can guests access these links? So I'm going to say, what were you talking about before? You were saying, no, I'm going to say 30 days. I'm going to say 1 month. Okay, 1 month. If you give a guest access to anything, I want it shared for 30 days, and then we'll cut it off. Share it again. If it's that important, a bigger project, you can share it again. And of course, those anonymous links, when do you want to delete them? So I'm going to simply say onto the back of that, 45 days. Now, that easy. I've made a simple policy, whether it's one you like, whether it's not, that's my policy. This is what I want to put it in. Oh, next point, just a trusted sharing. So again, Andy joined us back in 2021 from Altaro. And at that point in time, we're effectively one company. But it's altaro.com and it's Hornetsecurity.com. So in essence, we have two entities here. So what we can do within Permissions Manager is add altaro.com into here as a trusted domain, and this will then not be looked at as an external person. Okay, so we can say this is a trusted domain. I know about this domain. Don't worry about this in terms of external. So I'm not going to get alerted to something I've shared with Andy, who's joined the company, especially on those early days. Andy and I shared a million files between each other. Hey, what have you got? What have you got? Oh, okay, that's superb. Let's pass it over. So, you know, that just allows you to get that extra little granularity. Then the auditing. So within the grace period here, we've got, if there's risky sharing activity or there's something, somebody shares one of those files to something that it makes a non-compliance within the audit, how many days is that? I'm going to say orange because I'll show you in a moment. It puts a little bar orange before it goes red and before it starts going hello, hello. In this case, I want to keep that quite short. I'm going to say 3 days actually. Okay, 3 days. So pop it in there. And then how often do you want to have a full audit of this policy, a full run back down of this policy? I think 6 months is perfectly fine for me in this instance. And then alerts. Where do I want to send the email notifications? Oh, how often do I want to send the email notifications? As far as I'm concerned, immediate. As soon as something is breached, I kind of want to know. Again, this depends on the site size, the complexity, the number of files you have, and the number of users, I guess, you have, and the amount of activity that goes on. So I now have a new policy. It's called test policy. The first thing I need to do is assign it to a site. So let's go and assign this policy. And obviously you can see here I can edit and delete and set as default again very quickly and easy at this point. But I want to have a look around. So who have we got here? I'm going to go for this one. This is sensitive along with some others. Doesn't need to be sensitive. It needs to be what my new policy is. You're about to apply this? Absolutely, I certainly am. Thank you.
I think the important thing to point out in that previous screen, Matt, is the fact that you saw some Teams sites in there, you saw some SharePoint sites, as well as some OneDrive accounts too.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there's a policy. It's decided, it's created, it's assigned. It's that quick and simple. So jumping into our sites, exactly as Andy says, the first thing you'll notice when you look down here, it's a different type of sites, team sites, OneDrive sites, SharePoint communication sites, all listed here. And again, at any point in time, if you think there's something missing, quick discover, there's a new site, let's go find it, let's get it hooked in, let's get it reviewed, sorted. This is quite a busy screen in a sense, but very simply, you've got a ton of quick actions, so you can set external sharing level, clean up orphaned users. Andy alluded to that earlier. How important is that? You can very quickly jump into here. I'm going to do this one actually, clean up orphaned users. Jump in. So whereabouts? Well, I'm going to say from the primary tenant and list of users identified as deleted from Azure. So this is already picking up from Azure. These people have been deleted. Adley, you're gone. Remove permissions. Bang. That's it. Now her permissions. As soon as I hit done, all permissions for her will be removed. And this green tick will appear as quick or as long as that takes to action and sort out.
Now you think about how long that would take to do with native tools. I'd have to go into Azure AD. I'd have to see that, okay, this user's not here anymore. Then I have to go look at the OneDrive settings. I'd have to go look at the SharePoint site settings, and then the individual folders and the files down the entire hierarchy to make sure that there was no inherited permission that was broken anywhere along the way.
Exactly as you say, in order to get to be confident that every single file that is within any of your SharePoint infrastructure has been locked down to that person, it would take you an inordinate amount of time. Again, depending on the size of your estate, months potentially.
Yep.
Remove everyone permissions. I think that's pretty obvious there. Just remove the everyone permissions from any site. Revoke access for a user or group. So again, as Andy alluded to, I think before, so somebody's left the company and they, come on, I'm on a demo, so it's going to take a little time. Here we go. Drop down, I'm going to select a user and go, I'm afraid Alex, has just been told he's leaving. So I want to just make sure that he has no access to anything anymore. Revoke access, job done. And that will immediately go through and make sure that he does not have access to any of the items you have selected here in the list, which in my case, I'm going to take as the entire tenant. Okay. And
real quick, Matt, got Jack who asked a good question here in the other questions. You know, how do you remove a user's permission/share access for someone who's left the organization and no longer exists in 365? So what I've seen in my testing and usage with our product so far is that if the user doesn't exist anymore, instead of the username, you'll see the UID. You'll see the UID that user had. And so you know that, okay, there's a UID here, which means the user doesn't exist in Azure AD anymore. And that's probably something that you need to remove anyway, right?
Absolutely think so. And I going to say I thought there was one in here, but I might have actually deleted them from everything on the last demo I did, so they're not in there with the UID. No, you're absolutely right. And again, it clearly, excuse me, I'm gonna lose my voice today. The orphaned users, as you mentioned before, is clearly reading Active Directory, Azure Active Directory here to go, the users listed below are identified as deleted from the Azure Active Directory. So we're still giving you the names at this point, so it's still nice and clear and obvious. These have been deleted from Azure Active Directory, but have rights somewhere inside SharePoint.
Yep.
Okay. So that's called very simple quick actions. View as, I love view as. So I want to have a look at what this looks like as a user. So if I'm a user, and let's go, I love this name, bleep de bleep.
Bloop de bleep.
Bleep de bleep. And here I'm looking at what I can see based on that user, bloop de bleep. Okay, and so as you can see, I got access to all of these sites in some way or another, and I can explore and go down into more detail in that. But if you want a very quick sense check of how, you can do that, and I'll come to this kind of screen a little bit more in a little bit more detail. But I just love that feature of being able to just drop in as a user very quickly and simply.
And I think the other really important use case for this particular feature, again, kind of putting a security hat on here, is let's say bloop de bleep gets compromised somehow, right? Okay, well, as you know, through the management of a security incident for an organization, knowing that that user account had been compromised, I need to know what did that user account have access to. And
exactly.
This tool is very, this particular view here is very useful for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So carrying across the top bar for ease of anonymous access, very quick, simple filter, click it, show me all the sites that have anonymous access allowed within them, organization-wide access, which I'm allowing within my test policy, but some other policies may not allow, but show you very quickly. And again, external guest access. And these are all single, double click, filterable as is. And of course, below you can see that again, you're probably seeing it in the column down here. So a quick glance overview, you can also see the same thing and go and have a look at these details and go, oh, this contains anonymous access. What's this? Julian Gretsch, what are you doing? You can see it within there, but it just gives you a great filter if you've got a lot of sites to look at. You can also filter by the policies. You can say, hey, what was my new policy? Test policy. That was it. Filter, bang, test policy. These are all the sites using the test policy for confirmation, for auditing purposes, etc. And can filter by compliance state too. What's compliant, what's got a warning, and what's non-compliant. So my test policy has a warning. That's probably because it's only just been applied. It's within its grace period, so there's a warning. There's not a full non-compliant status. But again, you can see that quickly and easily. And again, you can filter by the type of site, and you can sort by display name and whatever. So while we got this view, let's go and have a look at some of the details for each individual site. As I've already mentioned, you've got the anonymous access, the external access, and the guest access. Policies quickly and easily reviewable. Internal access only, external guest access just bolted and made clear for you in a separate area. And a very simple, clean, color-coded state of affairs on each of these tenants, or on each of these sites, sorry, whether it's what the policy is and whether it's compliant or non-compliant. You can also then dive in and say, I want to do a quick audit, and site has all files are in a compliant state. The site is compliant and no violations were detected. That's excellent news. But a very quick one dropping down to another one, go, okay, look, there looks like there's some kind of problem here. So I want to do a quick audit. What am I looking at? External sharing levels wrong. The default, oh Lord, this is an absolute mess. What's going on?
This one's a dumpster fire.
Absolutely, look at this. I need to have a proper look at this. What's going on? And look at this, straight in. So immediate, what are the violations? External sharing level. What it violates the policy? What this is just clearly now. Decision time. Am I going to fix it? Am I going to prove it? Am I going to go and speak to people? But whatever. It's clear. It's very simple and very easy for you to manage. Okay. I'm not going to go changing too much in here in the demo environment. The value 0 days violates policy days of 14 days. You can see the problem. You can make a fix. Sorry, Andy. Sorry.
No, no worries. I was just going to jump in here really quick because this ties into another question that Jack had
Mhm.
in the questions form here. Back when you created the policy initially, once you assign the policy, the question was, does it automatically change those settings across the SharePoint sites, the OneDrive accounts? And it doesn't. It just raises the alert that now, hey, based on this policy you've just defined, this SharePoint site or this OneDrive account does not comply with the policy you've just
Correct,
defined.
correct. Yeah,
This is where you go in and you start making the changes to where it then brings that object into compliance with your new policy.
correct, correct. At this stage, all I've effectively really done is go, what do I want for this site? Okay, this is what I want it to look like. Now go and check it. Now, what's the result of that? And we're in the result of that as it is now. And exactly as you say that, I keep clicking the one that's great. Exactly, you say this one is a bit of a dumpster fire. I need to deal with it. And here, very clearly, are my items. And this is the fix point. This is the point
Yep.
at which you can make the fix. Okay. So jumping back into, here we go, cool. And then explore this. So now this is the amazing part of it that just I have baffled me since, and we were joking about this, I think the other day, Andy, it was SharePoint 2010. I first did my MCSE in, all those years back. It's still not available. Absolutely still not available. Where's my, here it is, I want this one. It's still not available. That I can go right the way down, right the way down, right the way down to this file, permissions.
Yep.
Simplified view permissions right there, that simple, that easy. Now in this case, it's all good, no issues, that's great. But how quick and easy is that? That is impossible in 365.
Yep.
It's possible to do this, but still a pain, and I can still see what I want to do. So this shows how easy it is at every single level to show who can see what and why and how.
And I think the key piece here is throughout the entire folder structure of that site or OneDrive account or whatever, right? Because I don't know, I always liken this back to the NTFS permissions days, right? You remember how easy it was to break inheritance anywhere along the chain of that folder structure. It's the same problem here in SharePoint, and this makes it very
Yeah,
easy to spot that.
yeah, completely. And again, here a simple explainer on the simplified and detailed view about the nested groups and stuff. So the simplified view said the admins are this group, which you can't see inside SharePoint, the content of that group if there's a group inside. But again, a simple owner open up, and we're looking at the members of each of these groups, and we can see in here inside the unpronounceable SharePoint name that somebody's made for me for the demo. We have the
Right.
members group, and inside that group is a group. And look how many people are in there hidden away. Wow. All these people actually have members access to this folder here.
Yep.
Okay. So again, simplicity is the key within all of this. So I've pretty much covered most of this. The final 3 dots menu just give you set external sharing levels. So again, so gives it Jack, apologies. If you want to set a sharing level at this point, you can do that, or you can, at this particular site, you can do some of the other functions we've already discussed about cleaning up orphans, remove the everyone permissions, revoke access to somebody, or set the site permission. So again, if somebody's changed department and you want to just clean it up, you can come into here, jump in and say it'll already pick up this site that I'm on, and I say Alex Wilbur Owen, this is this one site that I was looking at, get rid, revoke access, bang. Okay, yep. That's simple and easy again to get him out of that site, that library, that whatever.
One other question here really quick, Matt. Adam's wondering if you can make changes while you're in the Explore Sites view.
You can't make changes in here. No, let me try and dump into something. If I don't pick up a file, there's no editing at this particular point. This is auditing. This is reviewing. Yep. This is managing, understanding phase. Okay. And then so please shout, and if I've missed anything within that kind of overview, but I think that's a real simplistic, clean, clear divulgence of the state of the nation. I love that phrase, state of the nation. I think that's one of your phrases from your side of the water, but I do love it. And then kind of what's the next stage? Well, first of all, we're talking about alerts. So there's the ability for you to get an email alert immediately on a violation. That'll give you a link with an email to say, hey, there's been a violation over here. You click that link, it'll bring you straight into this section here, the to-do section. And this to-do section is permanently available. And jump in at any point in time and take a look at what, according to your audit policies, you need to be considering, reviewing, and managing. Okay.
And I think my particular favorite part about this view is this view is not designed just for the SharePoint admin or the CISO. This can be sent, any SharePoint site admin can be sent to this view. Correct. So let's say the head of your marketing department, they can come in here and they get this very nice, easy, simplified view to help make sure the stuff underneath their umbrella is compliant with company policy.
Absolutely. So in this case, I'm going to filter by site and make that kind of deal. So we'll do Julian Gretsch. How are we feeling with Julian today? Here we go. So let's assume this site was called Finance and Julian is the site admin for Finance. He'd get the email saying, hey, there's some violations you really need to review. You click on the link and he will be given this view. And this is what he will say. This is my site that I'm an admin for. These are the things that are falling from my CISO's audit. And I need to make a decision on this. And again, from here, we can say, okay, look, actually, this really needs to be done. Okay, you now have the ability to go back to your CISO and go, hey, you're blocking me from doing this as a valid business reason. You can have a business case discussion. You can make the changes if you want to the audit policy, and or go, yeah, that clearly should not have been allowed to happen. Yeah, thanks. Fixed. That link is broken. Let's assume that was an external one. Then that link is now broken and inaccessible from there onwards. Okay. And again, the filters, simple, easy filters by name for validation reasons. You can do multiple select. So if I pick all this up, I'll still filter by site so I don't do too many in one go. I will clean some of these up because they do seem to have a small dumpster fire in this one particularly. Yeah, please. Actually, no, not that one. I don't want to do that one. I want to fix that one. Let it go through. There we go. But I'm going to pick that one up and approve that one. Yes, please. Thank you very much. How quick and easy is that? How quick and easy is that? So we've built our policies. We've applied our policies. We've reported on our policies, and we're fixing our policies. Okay. And then on top of that, of course, we've got the alert. So you can have the daily summary alert, of course. This can go to your CISO or whoever you wish, whatever date and time, send that out in the daily. You've also got reports, so you can do reporting on the full site permissions, user and group access or external access, and these are all reportable, downloadable files. So I'm going to pop in here and say, yeah, I want it for this lady. I'm going to copy this so that I don't lose it. Cool. Generate the report. That'll now go away, generate a report. It'll offer me the report in a few minutes. I'll be able to download it, and with that key, I'll be able to get into the report and then review the situation. And this will allow you to identify items of permissions by specific user in your organization. Okay. As with all Hornetsecurity products, everything is audited, everything is logged. Everything I've done today will be in here now. Matt Fry on dogfooding.mpm, using my account name fry@bestpartner.work. My demo account clearly states exactly what I did. I requested to remove the permissions associated with one orphaned user. Clearly documented, clearly listed. Should there be a query in the future, I think you need to speak to Matt Fry. I think he made that decision. You need to go and have a word with him.
That guy.
Yeah, absolutely, that guy. Yeah, you're right. And then kind of at the end, I love ending with all of this on all of our products. We audit and we help. We got our full help desk in the background, 24/7, multilingual, and a chat. Hi guys, hey, what's up? Give me a help. We're here to help you if you've got any issues or any problems with the product. Okay. Anything I missed, Andy? Any other questions to anyone to?
I think that covers it. There are a couple of questions, 2 questions that are left that we can cover in the Q&A section. You can take a look at those while I go through the rest of the slides.
Yep, I'll make you the presenter again. You take it back.
Sounds good.
Yours.
And
I'll have a
share
look at these
PowerPoint.
questions too.
You should see PowerPoint again. Can you confirm that?
Yep, it's all good. Got it.
Perfect. So I got just a few more slides to go through while you take a look at a few of the remaining questions there, Matt. But just kind of a summary, right? We know how problematic and how difficult it is to manage and wrap your hands around all this stuff in 365. Permission Manager provides that ease of use to do all of this, right? Gives you a lot of time saving because I think I timed myself in some of my early testing how long it would take to do some of this stuff using the native tools, and it wasn't pretty. So there's definitely a lot of time saving that you get as part of this tool as well. Governance compliance and compliance monitoring, right? All stuff that you need, especially if you're a CISO or you're in a regulated industry of some sort. So just to kind of let you know where this fits inside of our product stack, and you feel free to jump in if you want to, Matt, but we've really got 4 different kind of bundles, right? You start with your entry-level security features over on the left-hand side in our total protection business plan 1, right? That gets you spam and malware protection, email encryption, again, some of the basics for 365. Then as we move to the right, we add additional features, right? So at tier 2, you get advanced threat protection, email archival, legally compliant email archival, I will say, email continuity as well, which is important for a lot of organizations. Then in tier 3, we add in the backup portion of the stack. So that's a full backup of Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive, full teams, not just the individual chats, but the group chats as well. And then we can also do backup recovery of endpoints there inside of that stack of products too. And then this piece comes into a coming soon 4th bundle of our product stack that includes everything we've shown you today,
yeah.
Along with security awareness services and everything else that I've talked about so far. So.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And in simple terms, giving us that level 3 is applying a backup, and as you said, I think level 4 is a compliance backup, and then adding the compliance level with permission manager and security awareness phishing training service. And those 2 things just really do close the loop on the product suite for M365.
Definitely. So I've got the Q&A slide up next, but before we get to that, one other thing here for everybody watching, just a quick question of how you would like us to follow up with you. Basically what you do here is you choose one of these 3 options, or you don't have to choose an option if you don't want to, but if any of these sound good to you, right, I know, right? But if any of these sound good to you, just go ahead and select a number, put that in the questions form, and then we know that, hey, okay, you selected number 2. We've got the email address that you signed up for this webinar with. We'll reach out and we'll get you situated with whatever option you select here. So I'll give you about another 30 seconds here on that. So option 1, you want to be signed up for a newsletter. What's that, Matt?
No, Karen, sorry. I was only going to say number 2, so I'll jump in and say number 2. I'd like a free trial because, of course, we do have a free trial. That's one of the questions that popped up in the chat. I've seen, do you have a free trial? Yes, we do. Hornetsecurity.com. Go and have a nosy. We'll get you a free trial. Or put number 2 in the box. We'll get you hooked up for a free trial.
Yep.
And I'll take 3 as well, Andy, if that's cool, because it's my team scheduling an individual appointment with one of my experts. As I said, I'm head of pre-sales here at Hornet Security, so it'll be one of my team that'll take you through a personalized individual deep dive and or onboarding if you're happy to go for it, and get you configured with that trial and proving the product and proving it's worth you.
Definitely. I think that brings us to our question slide. I think there were only 2 I saw, Matt, that we hadn't addressed yet.
I'm having a nosy through here. So can we make changes? Can we make changes submissions on the Explore? We've answered that one. What's this one here? Can we schedule the reports? Reports, it's a daily schedule. At the moment, you can schedule them daily. You can also have the alerts set to, as I said at the beginning, so the alert emails will come out on an immediate 1 hour, 4 hour daily alert item. The reports themselves, these are not schedulable at the moment. You just generate on demand. So you can generate them on demand and download the file and take a good look at them.
I would be curious for those that would like scheduled reports, like how frequently would you want them? The only reason I ask is I can always forward that information to our product team. So if there's a particular frequency that you think would be useful, go ahead and put that in the questions form and I'll share that feedback.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do the entries in the activity logs are kept indefinitely? Indeed, they are. The audit trail is from day one of product activation to the last day. Is this a standalone offering available to sell without 365 total protection? That's a licensing question. You need to speak to my sales team is always my stock answer to that. But quite simply, yes, of course it is. All of our products are effectively available as a standalone product. SAS is another good example of that. We absolutely sell SAS standalone if that's what you require. Our total protection though gives you the full covering and full protection that you need. Can you have plan 2 and add permission manager to it, or can you have to go straight to plan 4? Same answer again. In reality, I'm sure you can. Would you like to buy one of our products? Of course you can buy one of our products. There's really no issues with any of that. If you don't have an account manager or you don't have a contact with the Hornetsecurity, get one of your answers 1, 2, or 3 in there. Somebody will get back in contact with you and we can talk to you about whatever deal you want to do.
There's one here from Jack that I think he asked partway through. It makes a good point, basically saying that, hey, if I have a ton of OneDrive accounts, right, you know, say in the thousands upon thousands, right, and you figure if they went with the default settings, users across their organization were probably sharing stuff anonymously externally, right? And if you go in here and you enforce one of these policies to remove anonymous access, now you've got a ton of broken links, right? Correct. And the users are going to start complaining, external users are going to start complaining, and there's not really a way around that. I mean, to be honest, if I'm the CISO of that organization, that's probably a problem I want to have because I was not aware of these anonymous sharing links before, right? Correct, and now I am, and now I know it's a problem that needs to be solved. And
if you are the other way around, if you are in a position where you feel there may be this kind of problem that you've got, then you need to build this into your compliance communications, your compliance discussions, and your BCP, your business continuity plan, ultimately, and communicate with the end users. Say, hey, listen, I think people are sharing externally, anonymously. Do you understand the risks involved with that? Because I'm a huge fan of education, not using a baseball bat, for one of a better phrase. I'd rather educate them, because if nothing else, you will come across them later in life in another organization, another business, and they're educated. And I'm up for educating everybody in the world about cybersecurity. So teach them what the problem is, make them understand, and then say to them 1st of June, they're gone. So you need to understand that. Then that gives them time to make the changes they need to make sure that the links they're resharing with people are direct links, or individual links, or bespoke links. And then on the 1st of June, you can say, and now go. And whatever's left is either uncompliant, unknown, or they don't care. And in each of those 3 examples, I want them closed.
Yep. Yeah. The way I always look at that is like, you always had a problem, just now you know about it, right? So
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There's one other question I saw here. I just want to make sure I call out really quick. Will this be recorded? Yes, we've been recording this. You will get an email with a link to the recording after the fact. So
yeah. And one other question from Christo about how do you pitch this to your as a managed service? Then that's a much bigger discussion we can take offline. Christo, say hello to us, give us a number. We'll come back and talk to you, and we can talk to your account managers, or one of my team can talk to you about how you sell this as a managed service. At the end of the day, very simply, this is a product that you wrap around your customer's site within the compliance object, and you just say to them, we will keep you compliant. It's a very simple answer to that, and I know it's a very simplistic answer, but come and have a chat with us. We can give you a million reasons why this is not only a good sell, but a good sell for you as a partner too.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I think we're about at time there, Matt. Yeah, if there are any questions we didn't get to,
I can see them popping in, but I think we are out of time, so we'll take these offline. We will get back to you on these. If we didn't answer your question, apologies, but we will come back to you, I promise.
Correct, definitely. So, well, Matt, I appreciate you taking the time to show us that awesome demo today.
You're more than welcome, Andy. It's always a pleasure.
That's a product that it's hard to see the value in it until you actually see it in action, right? So really appreciate taking the time to take us through that. So all of you watching, really glad you spent some time with us here today. We hope you found value in this webinar, and we hope to see you for a future webinar. And again, if you want any more information on Hornet Security or the product, go out to hornetsecurity.com. And if you have any follow-up questions, you can, like I said earlier, you can always email me at andy@hornetsecurity.com. And well, Matt, I'll leave it to you if you want to share your email address or not.
Fry@hornetsecurity.com. More than welcome to take any calls, any discussion points. We always want to grow and we always like to listen, so I have no problem with that, Andy. Thank you.
Definitely. So, all right, well, we'll let everybody get back to their day. Have a good one. Stay safe out there.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Andy. Good to speak to you again. Take care.